The sword dance is a performance of either a single warrior or a group of warriors, quite simply dancing with a sword. Sword dances are found all over the world with various cultural and ritual purposes. They could be training exercises, mock battles, a festival for banishing evil spirits, commemorating a victory against an enemy king, an honoring to the gods, a coming of age, or a display of martial elegance. Although we could focus on any one of those aspects of the sword dance throughout history and culture, this will actually be an exploration of the sword dance as it was used more innately, regardless of culture, and this was likely what inspired the later traditional dances. That is, by a trained warrior in preparation for battle to enter the flow state. Although the neuroscience is still studying the flow state, one explanation consistent among research seems to be a perfect equilibrium between the sympathetic and parasympathetic systems. The fight response is activated in balance to the rest response. Flow states are rejuvenating, productive, and highly conducive of expert performance. The Hungarian scientist credited with coining the term flow as a psychological concept listed 9 components to achieving the state. A balance of challenge and skill, merging of action and awareness, clarity of goals, immediate and unambiguous feedback, concentration on the task at hand, paradox of control, transformation of time, loss of self-consciousness, and intrinsically rewarding experience, as in, the goal is simply to enjoy the experience, not for winning, money, power, fame, etc. Dance is particularly effective at inducing flow as it allows one to train the parasympathetic nervous system while engaging in high-stress activity. The rhythm of movement creates synchronous activity in the brain, conducting better thought processing, fluidity of movement, creativity, and balance and skill, as well as confidence in the self. The use of drums and music can help the trance state, which is necessary for the parasympathetic nervous system to activate. The trance or hypnotized state of an empty mind consciousness is achieved with 3 major behaviors: convergent eye movements, attentive fixation, and an attitude of expectancy. As we have explored, these are the same requisites for shamanic trance, meditative visions, and psychosis. These techniques increase the excitability of neurons in the primary visual cortices. Prolonging this state causes synchronous activation of neurons associated with sleep rhythms, which activates the parasympathetic nervous system. This also reduces all feeling of pain, which allows the flow state to be uninterrupted by dangerous stimuli. This is all to say that the warrior focusing on their sword as the object of their attention and expectancy allows them into a trance. The physical exertion itself keeps the sympathetic system on. Through practice and mastery of this performance, the warrior can achieve flow. However, there is another element to the sword dance, a certain mania associated with fixating on a weapon, one that many people may have felt when randomly holding a weapon like a kitchen knife, and an intrusive thought briefly appears suggesting that you use the weapon. You may have also heard this idea of a weapon whispering to someone. The mania created through the excitability of neurons with the prospect of mock battles during the sword dance, what could also be compared to shadow boxing only in a trance, is how one can create a neural pathway to activating the manic possession of the weapon. Only the master swordsman is not possessed so much as the sword becomes an extension of the warrior's body and mind, and the warrior themselves becomes an extension of the weapon. There is no longer any distinction between sword and swordsman. Without the balance of the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system, one would enter into what is a berserker or fury state, one that is purely the sympathetic nervous system or fight mode combined with the hypnotic trance from the visual signals. This is where the warrior becomes possessed by the weapon, which creates a PTSD-like association with the weapon that whispers to them and increases their bloodlust through that reinforced conditioning. The swordmaster controls that mania, reforges it into a blending of consciousness between the sword and himself. Anyone can learn this with any object, such as a pen or paintbrush or tennis racket, or any object that one could use in a trance performance to achieve flow by creating a hypnotizable ritual or training practice that would allow the rhythm of movement and balance of the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems, which synchronizes neural activity, forming spike trains or action potential links between the self and the object of mania. You can observe this same process negatively in trauma-based reactions to an object used to hurt someone. It's the same mechanism for conditioning. Sword dances were especially prevalent in nomadic and guerrilla-based martial cultures, but overall this practice reveals one of the most intrinsically rewarding and useful talents of human physiology that shaped the course of history, from warriors turning the tide of battle to the traditions and folklore of cultures who honor this state as connecting to their history and ancestors, to dance on the razor edge of a blade between insanity and death, where the gods of war dwell. To conclude, I will quote the sword saint Musashi: "Under the sword raised high, there's hell making you tremble, but go ahead and you have the land of bliss."